Welcome back. It is exactly 9:25 a.m. and we're crossing over to chat with Jared Sachs. He is with the SAJFP and he is part of the flotilla as you and I speak regarding trying to break the siege, the global Sumud Flotilla to Gaza, and we're going to try and cover as much as we possibly can this morning. We also understand that more than 50 ships are heading to Gaza to challenge Israel's illegal blockade and deliver urgent humanitarian aid. And the first convoy, consisting of dozens of small civilian vessels carrying activists, humanitarians, doctors, seafarers, and humanitarian supplies. And yesterday, some of them had met up in Tunisia with a second wave, which will happen on September the 4th. Let's talk to Jared, I think it is, Jared Sachs, South African. Very good morning. Welcome to the program. And it really pleases me to see South Africans part of this amazing movement and something that will definitely be on the right side of history. A very good morning to you. Welcome. And why has this really touched you in such a big way that you are now part of the flotilla?
Hi, Julie. Good morning. Good morning to all viewers. I'm here in Tunis, in Tunisia, and we are here to try and make a difference. You know, we've been protesting, marching, writing letters, writing op-eds for the media, things like that for 2 years now, almost, trying to stop this genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza. And we think it's time to try something different, try something a little bit, more unorthodox, and to see if we can make a difference that way. And so we are going to, we're going to Gaza on boats with an action of with direct action to give humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. We expect the Israeli government to try and stop us. But we're doing it anyway. And we're doing it to expose how Israel is starving the Palestinian people in Gaza.
Jared, I introduced you as a South African, but you speak with a British accent. So did I get that wrong?
I speak with a kind of mixed accent. I lived for a while in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And so I lived both. I was born in Joburg. I lived in the States for a while. I came back to Cape Town. I lived most of my life in Cape Town now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why does this speak to you? Why is it important, given that all the past flotillas, sad to say, look, a very, very strong statement was made by those flotillas, but they were never allowed to dock and to dispense of the aid, the much needed aid to the starving masses of Palestine?
Yeah. I mean, the other flotillas were important initiatives, and they raised awareness about the blockade long before October 7th. Most people thought the blockade started after October 7th, right? But they don't realize that the blockade has been in place since 2007, I believe. And it has regulated the amount of food and medicine and calories, in fact, that Palestinians can intake. And it is it's been a real problem. And so these flotillas have tried to raise awareness about this issue, hoping they could get through the blockade, but they've always been stopped. This flotilla is different because it's the largest flotilla they've ever done. It's, as you said, could be 40 plus ships. We're not sure how many yet. Leaving from Barcelona, Tunis, and a few other ports, all heading to Gaza together. And it's going to be hundreds of people, and Israel will have to mobilize a much larger Navy presence to stop us. And we're hoping that the difficulty of stopping so many boats could force them to, negotiate and, either let us through or negotiate some kind of resolution to this issue. And so, yeah, we're hoping that the large numbers will have a big impact in that kind of way. In addition to that, obviously, it will garner a lot more attention because there's so many of us. It'll be all over the media, and so we're hoping that that other countries will take note of what Israel is doing and start putting actual, real pressure on Israel to end the blockade.
So, Jared, I'm looking at a report from the Jerusalem Post, which goes as follows. Ben-Gvir plans to designate global Sumud Flotilla activists as terrorists and to seize the boats. Activists will be held in prisons for terrorists and will be denied special privileges such as television, radio, and specialized food. And this, of course, is a stark reality because we know what happened to the previous flotilla a couple of weeks ago. Bearing that in mind, you guys are still going ahead, full steam ahead.
Yes, I mean, we can't stop now. We are committed to getting humanitarian aid in. We know that there are risks. We try to minimize these risks by ensuring that everyone who's on board is trained in nonviolent tactics in engaging with the Israeli army. Everything we're going to be doing is nonviolent. Everything we're doing is also legal. It is actually Israel that is illegally engaged in this blockade. This is not Israeli territory, and we have a right to enter Gaza. So Ben-Gvir's threats are kind of laughable in the sense that he's calling us terrorists. He's calling me a terrorist. I'm a South African Jew who is not okay with what's going on in Gaza, and I'm Jewish, and he's acting in my name, and yet also calling me a terrorist. It just goes to show that it's really not about religion. It's actually really about the oppression of a certain people by other people, and by people who are fascist, who are much like other fascists we hear about in their history books, and we must confront fascists wherever they are. So this is, I think, the mission that we're under.
And Jared, you rightly say it's not about religion, because I think people that are not kind of informed enough about what's happening in Gaza assume that this has something to do with Muslims and Islam only. But we do know a large, not large number of Palestinian people are in fact non-Muslim. They are Christian and follow other religions as well. And in a report yesterday, we have now also noted that the Christian churches, well, already at the start of this genocide, Christian churches were also bombed. But now they seem to be going, the IDF is going with a vengeance on all Christian churches and Christian people. So it's really not about religion. It's sad to say, really about greed, power, and I guess just this want to be in control, to be in power. It's narcissism. It's everything wrong. For all of the wrong reasons that they're wanting to occupy the land of Palestine. But be that as it may, let's talk about all of the different people from different nationalities, countries, and religions that are participating in the flotilla.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Everything you say is correct about the diverse nature of the Palestinian people. I would also add that there are Jewish Palestinians historically,
Of course.
and the Jewish Palestinians are indigenous to Israel. The problem is that Zionism as an ideology, which is a European ideology, tried to incorporate the Jewish Palestinians into this state and colonial project. And And so you don't find um, Zionism pressing directly, obviously oppressing Jewish Palestinians. You find them incorporating them into this project, but as lesser as lesser Jews. You know, they're never as good as the European Jews, right? Um, this flotilla, to answer your question, is very is a very diverse project. You know, it's led by people from all over the world. One of the leaders is a Palestinian who lives in Spain, and then there's many other people from um, basically everywhere in the world. Yesterday, I met some people from Indonesia here in Tunis. And I met on the airplane from Istanbul. I met people coming from Turkey who didn't speak a word of English, but we tried to communicate, on Google Translate, and it was really nice to meet all these people who are well-meaning and really just care about the Palestinian people. Um, and our delegation of 9 South Africans is also very diverse. We have Christians, Jews, Muslims, atheists, all on the same delegation together, and just shows how diverse our country is. And it also, shows that we have the people on our side, even if Israel has, the Western governments on their side.
Okay, let me just read a post very quickly from Premika David. May the Almighty keep the flotilla team safe, and may their mission be a successful one. How confident are you that it's going to be a success?
I'm confident that it's going to be a success, but not necessarily in the way maybe some people expect it. We're going to try to get to Gaza, but it's likely that they'll intercept us, right? But just because they intercept us doesn't mean it's a failure. We think that if they intercept us, they will be exposing, themselves for what they are. Genocidaires, people who are starving other people. And, we just need more attention to this cause. We need to make sure that people get the word out, that everyone is speaking about our historic mission to Gaza, and that when we do get abducted, or if we do get abducted, that the people of the world cry out against this attack on our humanity and attack on the Palestinians' humanity.
So, for people who don't understand what exactly is a flotilla and why try and get aid via the sea route as opposed to other routes, how do we explain that?
Well, to be honest, I can't actually tell you where the name flotilla came from. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but it's something to do with a boat with humanitarian aid, and that floats in the water, hence flotilla, right? It's a term that has become very popular in relation to this into this movement of helping break the siege. If I may have forgotten the second part of your question.
The why send aid by the sea route rather than other routes? Though, as I put the question to you, what's uppermost on my mind as well is that perhaps the safety issue, perhaps the fact that you can carry larger quantities of aid, etc. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So the best way to get aid to the Palestinian people of Gaza is by the land route. There's thousands and thousands, I think tens of thousands of trucks sitting outside the Gaza border waiting to get in, but Israel is not letting them in, or they would let them in, but then not give them permission to drive through. And without permission to drive through, they could be shot and killed at any moment, so they can't just go through. So Israel is preventing the aid in that kind of way, and that's the best way to get people in Gaza fed. In a matter of a day, everyone in Gaza can suddenly have food, and we can start overturning this famine. Now, because the land route is being blocked, and because the air route, many of you have seen the parachuting aid, because that's so dangerous and actually not economically viable, we've decided to try and make a point by going by sea. We won't be allowed to go by land because Egypt blocks any support
Yes.
for Palestine. That is more than just rhetoric. So when we tried to go through to march to the Gaza border in Egypt a few months ago, Egypt blocked us. So now we're trying to do it by sea. You can really give a lot of aid to the Palestinian people by sea, not as efficiently as by land, but if aid was allowed in, a lot could be done. So we're trying that route. In terms of the safety, safety is a concern. It is not a safe mission, because you never know what the Israeli occupation forces will do. In 2010, they killed, I think it was 9 or 10 Turkish activists who were part of the flotilla then. And since then, they've mostly just detained people and then deported them. But and we're hoping that the high-profile nature of this flotilla will keep us safe. But like I said, you never know what they're going to do. They will do literally anything to protect their occupation, and so we just need to make sure that the risks of attacking us are higher than the risks of letting us through for them.
So, Jared, talk to us about, is the actual departure date on the 4th of August, 4th of September, and how many people in total will be on the different vessels? And let's just pray for a best case scenario that the flotilla is allowed to dock and you are able to offload all of the supplies for the people of Gaza. What happens next?
So we're not exactly sure the date we're leaving. It could be around the 4th. It could be day before or day after. We're not sure. The boats are different sizes, mostly small. But our one, the South African one that was which was bought by Meal SA, an NGO in South Africa, takes about 14 people. So five people are the captain and the crew who are running the ship, and then 9 participants, such as myself. And then, but I think we're going to be mixed up with other nationalities now. So the South African boat will not have some South Africans and some other people, and then some of the other boats will have South Africans and other people as well. And then to answer your question about what happens if we get through to Gaza, I mean, we'll have some aid to give to the people of Gaza. It won't be that much, but it will be the first example of aid getting through to Gaza by citizens without the permission of the Israeli government. And if that happens, I'm sure that there will be more flotillas and more people trying to break the siege. Once one thread starts to unravel, the rest will follow.
Absolutely. Okay. For the naysayers, for the people who don't understand what this conflict is all about, that don't understand that this is a genocide playing out, that it is absolutely inhumane, and ask the question, why do you even bother wanting to go? Because you're putting your life at risk. And would the end result really be worth the time, energy, and that you and your life at risk going on a mission such as this? What do you say to those people who are so ill-informed, don't understand world politics and world history, and make such casual and flippant remarks about people like yourself literally putting your life on the line?
Mm-hmm. So I think that you brought up two types of naysayers in your question. The one is, people are just ill-informed about what's going on there, right? And those people, they just need to, look at the media, look at what's going on, watch the videos of children starving, watch the videos that show the landscape that's virtually destroyed. Anyone who sees that stuff, or read the reports by Human Rights Watch or Amnesty International, by UN bodies, read any of those reports. Anyone who actually does real research about what's going on will see that it's a genocide. It's not something that's really arguable at this point. It is obvious to anyone who opens their eyes and is willing to do any basic research on what's going on. So I think those naysayers are willfully blind or purposefully blind, and I would say that they just need to go and do a little bit of research. The other type of naysayer you mentioned are people who think this won't make a difference. And I think that's actually the more insidious type of naysayer, because they are bringing up a point that has some basis, because we haven't succeeded so far, right? And so they think we won't be able to succeed just because so far we haven't, and because Israel is so strong militarily, and they have the backing of the US and all those kinds of things. And so for us, I think what the point we're making is that, everything seems impossible until it's done. Apartheid in South Africa seemed unbreakable in the 70s, before 1976. It was 1976 that changed things. And people didn't even know it at the time that 1976 was changing things. We only found out that 1976 was a turning point in the 80s, when the movement started really picking up steam. But it was a singular point in the 70s that led to the huge mobilizations of the 80s. And then suddenly it became inevitable, and the apartheid government came to the negotiating table. And so what we're doing is building up the movement, building up our power to change things. And when we have hope, even if it may seem irrational to some people, what they don't realize is that if enough people have this kind of irrational hope, we can change things. And I think this genocide is a turning point, because Israel is now illegitimate in the eyes of most of the world, and the governments will follow if we keep up the pressure. We may not see a free Palestine this year or next year, or even in 5 years, but I think in the long run, 10 years from now, it will happen. And as long as we don't give up hope, and as long as we don't stop acting.
Jared, I admire your courage. Your heart definitely is in the right place. And to you and all of the people that are involved in the current flotilla, may God watch over you all. May you be safe, and may you return safely to your loved ones. More importantly, also that you manage to get the aid through. So all I can say to you is lots of respect and God bless.
Thank you. And thanks everyone who is praying for us. And also thanks to everyone who is supporting us in other ways as well. You can raise money for the flotilla through Meal SA if you want to look them up. And you can support us on social media at Global Movement to Gaza and at Global Sumud Flotilla. Just search them on social media and follow us and our journey. Thank you.
Pleasure. God bless. It is exactly 9:49. News and views moving along. Please do stay with us.